Let's welcome the star of the show, Pattie Boden, to the set. Harris Tolber, our director. We also have Erika Proctor of Green Dogs Unleash, who is kind enough to join us on the program. And I'm going to throw it to Pattie Boden here. Green Dogs Unleash, your idea, putting them on your show. Talk to us about what you were thinking.
Well, we at Animal Connection and on the show specifically, we like to celebrate the who's doing what, where, why, and how. And there's so many unsung heroes in this pet community within an hour or two of Charlottesville, and we just need for them to get out, let people know who they are, let them know what the mission is, and all the great things they're doing for dogs and cats and the people of the world.
I love it.
Especially in the therapy dog realm.
Right. You know what? Let's throw it to Erika. Erika Proctor, founder of Green Dogs Unleashed. I first found out about your brand at Dog Fest at the Ix Art Park. And after doing a short video with Todd, did some more research on your organization, your nonprofit. You guys are ballers. You're doing such special things here. Put in perspective what Green Dogs Unleashed is all about.
So we are a special needs animal rescue and therapy dog program. So we primarily take in deaf and blind or amputee animals, and we do all of their training, and we place them in fabulous homes. And those that have just phenomenal personalities, we train to do therapy work. And those therapy dogs go out into this community, and they give back to our community in hospitals and schools and assisted living facilities.
It's amazing. Sizzle reel right that for Harris Tolber about Green Dogs Unleashed. Taking dogs that are perhaps struggling, perhaps set back a little bit, and rehabilitating them and giving them second chances. I mean, this is pretty amazing, Pattie Boden.
It really is. I mean, physical limitations are not limitations. They're just different challenges. Mm-hmm. And it's so cool that people like Erika can take these wonderful animals and help them find a purpose and give them a job. I mean, animals love a job. I mean, they want to do something. They want to contribute. So this is so great that this can happen.
I love it. I love it. Debbie Gibson, Dedamore. Hi, Erika.
Hey, Debbie.
Jamie Moore says, best trainer ever. You're getting some props. Like and share the feed so we can put the spotlight on Green Dogs Unleash. Let's talk about why the influence or the... what motivated you to launch Green Dogs Unleash, when you did it? Give us the birth story, the who, what, when, where, why.
So I had a deaf and blind Great Dane puppy thrown out of a truck in front of my training facility back in Washington State 13 years ago. And I didn't know what to do with her. I was an animal behavior specialist then, but here's this deaf and blind puppy. How do I work with it? Took it to the vet, and every vet we went to said, no, you need to euthanize this dog. She can't have any kind of quality of life. But she was this perfect little puppy, this wonderful, loving, kind soul, and I couldn't do that to her. And so I trained her, and I started working with her with touch commands. And then I had a friend that had a child with autism, and he came to visit one day and reached out, and he was a nonverbal child, and he reached out and told her that he loved her. And he'd never spoken those words to his mom, but he connected with this dog on a level that I couldn't understand and she couldn't understand, and I knew she had a higher calling. So that's how Green Dogs was born. When we moved to Virginia, I volunteered for the shelters, I volunteered for other organizations, but there really wasn't a rescue out there that catered to special needs, that sought them out, that gave them a chance. And so one day I said to my husband, this is what we need to do, and he said, sure thing. And 4 months later, our 501 came in the mail, and he says, oh my gosh, is this really a thing now? And I said, yes, it is.
I love it. Sizzle reel that, Harris. And I love it. Why, as an entrepreneur, as someone who loves to start something and mold it and build it and watch it grow through our hard work and through partnerships with other folks, this epitomizes that.
Find a need, find a need
like
and
you.
Go for it. Yeah.
I mean, great.
That's how it happens.
When you have a dog throwing off a pickup truck in front of you in your training facility, I mean, that's like an aha moment.
It is. I mean, if it's not, it's a message from somewhere that like, ooh, this is what I'm supposed to do.
Yes.
Talk to us about the support that you got early on, some of the key people that helped make this a reality for you, some of the struggles, the trials, and the tribulations you went through. What we like to do on the show is we like to celebrate hard work and positivity and like the entrepreneurial mindset. mindset.
Yeah.
And what you did with launching this nonprofit is undoubtedly the entrepreneurial mindset. If you could put that in perspective, I would love to learn more.
So at Green Dogs, we are all volunteers. Every single person. We have no paid staff. So every one of our volunteers is the backbone of our organization, from our fosters to our transporters to our donors. We're completely privately funded by donations. And every single person, whether it's the person that comes and helps by picking up laundry and washing dog laundry, to people that come out and just spend time snuggling our dogs, every single person is just as important as any other. And it's really, Green Dogs is really a huge community effort. There's not one person that's any more important than any other person in our organization. But we have just been so fortunate. We've got an amazing network of foster homes that take the dogs in. I do the training out at our facility in Troy. And then we have adopters that come from all over the country that are also welcome, into the Green Dogs family, and that's really what we are. Liz
Schmidt, thank you for liking the feed. Karen Atkins Sowers, thank you for liking the feed. Like and share that feed if you could for us. Talk to us, Pattie Boden of this organization. Talk to us. What I love about this is, and your store undoubtedly an epicenter for this, is there's so many different verticals or niches within the animal community and the dog community in Charlottesville and the Commonwealth and Central Virginia and Albemarle County, Troy.
Yeah.
I mean, and what you're trying to do is just celebrate it.
Exactly. And Animal Connection was designed to be connections for this, for anything that had to do with pets, whether it be, the medical or the food or the, if you need a special dog to do a special job, or you have a special dog in mind that needs some help or needs a job. I mean, we wanted to be the connection that helps put people together and sort of weave that web, I guess, if you will, to just make the magic happen for the pets.
You, Erika, take special needs dogs, okay? Not just dogs that are afterthoughts. But dogs that are afterthoughts and then challenged even then more, then some.
Right. So the majority of our animals are the dogs that even shelters won't adopt out.
Right. Okay. Right. So we're talking about, not even death row dogs, because they hadn't had a chance to get to death row. These are absolutely forgotten dogs that didn't even have a chance to get to death row.
They're discarded.
Discarded dogs. Okay. So the patience. And the will and that is not an easy endeavor, what you're doing here. I mean, put that into perspective for us.
And the laundry list of what people are looking for, if they see somebody that maybe has a dog or something that has a physical deformity or, like you said, deaf or blind, it is they would almost rather have a dog that had so many severe emotional problems so they could...
Try to fix them.
Right, so they could relate to... I don't understand why they would relate to that rather than a dog that has a clear mind, a clear vision, a clear peace about them, and it just has a physical difference that just needs to be addressed in a different way.
Well,
it's like working with handicapped children.
I really think that the problem is that there's such a stigma in the human world. We think that someone with special needs is broken often. And there's no stigma in the dog world. So as an animal behavior specialist, I mean, you give me a deaf and blind dog to train any day over a hearing seeing dog that gets distracted and has a mind of its own that wants to go and chase after that squirrel. My deaf and blind dogs don't do that.
You had an aha moment with Ernie, your Chesapeake Bay Retriever.
Right.
Ernie had cancer. And then you changed Ernie's diet to a raw food diet. And very soon thereafter, Ernie started having a positive change of his quality of life, was living longer than the prognosis that you got.
Absolutely.
And Animal Connection specializes in that raw food diet. I'm curious if you also had this aha moment. Obviously, it was the Great Dane that was dropped off the pickup truck. But even further after you launched Green Dogs, when were you like, oh my gosh, we are making an impact and having a difference? Is there something you can reflect on like that?
Yeah. When the first official Green Dogs dog that we took was Charlie, a deaf and blind Catahoula. And
Louisiana Catahoula?
Catahoula leopard dog. Yep,
okay,
it's the same thing.
They're almost like blue.
Louisiana cur, Blue Merle.
Yeah.
And I started training Charlie to do therapy work. and I took him down to PVCC for some event that they were having, and I introduced this deaf and blind Catahoula to these college students, and they just were taken back by him and the connections that he was able to make, which was beyond what Serendipity, my Great Dane, did with the kids that she worked with. Just being able to see it full circle. Now we took a new dog from being discarded and trained him, and now he's going out and doing therapy work. And that's when I knew how much our program was needed.
That's amazing. And how about working with your husband? Working with your
That's
husband in this.
awesome. So my husband is the common sense, I think, of what we do.
You're the big picture?
He keeps
the dreamer?
I'm the dreamer.
Okay.
I'm head up in the clouds, and he is holding on to that balloon string, saying, "Okay, we need to stay grounded a little bit." He tells me when my ideas are a little bit grander than what reality can handle. But he keeps us going. I mean, he handles all of the financials and makes sure that we are staying on track, that we're able to continue the work that we do, and that, it doesn't get out of control.
Jump in here, Pattie.
Wow, I'm not sure where to jump in with that one. Holy smokes. I mean, it's nice to have someone that does have a different type of a vision and allows someone like Erika to be creative and then let her do the voodoo that she does so well. And then somebody, you need someone to do the nuts and bolts and all the arrangements and things for you at times.
Well said right there. That was out of nowhere, Pattie.
I could use some nuts and bolts.
Give some props on that. Let's thank some folks that are watching. Gina Elliott Pro?
Oh, hey,
yeah.
Gina.
She says,
Gina,
"Hey, Erika."
She adopted Willow, and Willow is going to be going through our therapy program also.
Okay. Donna Patton says, "Green Dogs Unleashed is the best."
Donna's got Champ, one of our therapy dogs.
I
Hey,
love
Donna.
how. Do you know
What type
all
of
the
therapy
dogs?
does he do?
I
That's
do.
amazing.
What type of therapy does he do?
Champ actually goes to Moss Knuckles. He goes to special needs classroom at Moss Knuckles.
Oh, wow.
He visits another school for special needs kids that's in Fluvanna with Donna, and they're just awesome. They're one of our awesome teams.
Talk to us about the different aspects of the therapy. What goes into offering this therapy to the dogs?
So the therapy training
Yeah.
that we do. So it starts out with basic obedience. They've got to go through K9 101. And then we have this awesome, it's my favorite class, called Out and About class, where we take everything that they've learned, all the basic commands, and we go out onto adventures in town. We go on hikes, we go to stores, we go to restaurants, all kinds of stuff where we're putting what we learn in our basic foundations kind of into context and exposing them to things that they might experience when they're out in the world doing therapy work. And then we have our therapy dog handler class, which is 80% for the human part of the team and 20% for the dog. We do a lot of desensitizing to medical equipment, a lot of HIPAA stuff, things you can and can't do. And all combined, it's about a year of training that these dogs have. And then we offer lifetime support for those teams. So once they graduate and they pass the therapy dog evaluations, they're not on their own. They're working, with other teams. They're coming back and doing events with us. We all stay connected. It's really important.
I love it.
It's kind of amazing. I want to get back to what you were talking about, the awareness that these dogs have. I noticed that working with a horse that I had that lost an eye, and just their energy field gets really interesting. It's just a different kind of awareness. even though they don't have maybe the ears or the eyes or anything, they are so sensitive about things, and they notice like a fly on their back. Or they're that sensitive. And so the fact that they can pick up on things, with the children or adults that need the help on it, they are sensitive. They are dialed in. And it's really, and all dogs are like that.
Right.
But just when you're challenged and you've lost one of your senses, you've gained so many other things back from it. It's just interesting to see how it works.
Yeah.
It's great. Sizzle reel that, Harris. What is this is a tough question for you. Maybe there's not an exact answer. And if you guys have a question for Erika or Pattie, put it in whatever Facebook chat box you're watching now. And if you could like and share the feed, that would mean the world to us. What is the most challenging of the special needs when you're offering therapy? Which one is the most challenging and why?
Goodness, I would say that vision impairment would be the most challenging. Not blindness, but where a dog has partial vision.
Okay.
And that's because they see shadows that then their brains don't translate in the same way all of the time that a seeing dog would or a blind dog would. So when they have some vision, they might not have depth perception, but shadows can cause things like ground pounding, where they chase, or if there was a shadow on the wall, they'll chase up the wall, or it'll cause OCD. So I deal with a lot of dogs that have that. So my preference is if the dog has vision impairment, that they be totally blind versus partially blind.
How about, no, that makes perfect sense. That was a fantastic explanation, and I think that should be a sizzle reel too, Eric. How about the one that perhaps, maybe the easiest is not the right word, but the one that could be potentially the least challenging of the special needs?
The least challenging would be blindness, total blindness, I think, because they still can hear and hear your voice commands. And then second to that would be deafness. I find really it's hand signals that we're learning with a dog that's deaf, and so it's just another language. So just like sign language would be. Most owners don't really have a great recall for their dogs anyway when they can hear.
That is the truth.
So that's always everyone's concern. Well, how do I call a deaf dog? I actually teach a vibration training clinic where we use vibrating collars. They're not shock collars. We do not at all condone shocking a dog. But we use vibration training like Morse code so that we can do an off-leash recall, and they can feel that come command that we're giving them when they're not on leash. But we do all positive reinforcement training, and teaching a deaf dog hand signals is a piece of cake.
Piece of cake. What are you thinking, Pattie Boden?
Isn't that something?
That's amazing, right?
Well, I mean, I noticed that in just obedience too. I mean, the better competitors, I guess you will, that do obedience. I mean, you don't want somebody around the side of a ring saying sit, this, and the other to throw your dog off. So you want your dog's attention on you. Just like when I do a horse, I don't say whoa. I use my body language to achieve what I need to do. I mean, you've got that, but you don't, like us, you don't always have your voice.
You're doing great.
That's true.
So,
I got something from the chat box. Donna Patton says, Champ the therapy dog loves being a therapy dog with Green Dogs Unleashed. You have such passionate followers. I mean, I saw that at Dog Fest. I see that on social. What's that make you feel like?
It's amazing, but it's our village again, because all of us are volunteers. We have the most incredible people that continue the amazing work that Green Dogs does. It's not about one person, and it's never going to be about one person. No. It's about each individual, and we have everyone that volunteers with us are our teammates. That's what we call everyone. Our shirts say it on the back, teammates, because whether you're the dog or you're the human half of that, we're all a team, and that's really important.
That's a sizzle reel, Harris.
Right, and I have to throw props to Erika, because back in the early days of Dog Fest, I mean, Erika's groups have been coming there since the very beginning.
Dart and Towel?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Dart and Towel. And when they come, they have a fleet of volunteers, and they're all wearing green, and the tents are green, and everything is green. I mean, you know when these guys are here, and the dogs are wearing green, and if you want to see how a good group Halloween costume works out, that's your girl.
What are
right
some of your
there.
Halloween costumes?
Oh my goodness!
Oh gosh!
I had a pleasure of judging this one, and this past one, it was
You
amazing.
did.
You are the
This
queen
year
of the group costumes.
we were skeletons. We actually
Oh, yeah.
we had a closet. We didn't carry the closet up because I was expecting my fourth.
She has 4 kids. I think we should just champion and celebrate her for having 4 children. Oh my gosh, I have 1, and I'm like, this is the hardest, best thing ever.
The baby's
it's so
in the car
hard.
waiting for her
So
right now.
The baby's,
Not alone.
Not alone. No, not alone. The baby's here right now
I was
with her.
going to say,
Yeah.
not my baby, your
Yeah,
baby.
no,
Okay.
My little
No,
one.
4
I
kids
have 4.
and training therapy, special needs dogs. I
Yeah.
mean, you are an angel.
Well, I wouldn't say that, but the kids are a huge part of it, and I think that's something else that really differentiates our group from some others. Is we are extremely family friendly. So we require that all the dogs in our program be good with tiny humans, and we accept that they are an integral part of the training process. My kids get involved in the training. They work with the therapy dogs. They come out and pet them and spend time with them and handle them inappropriately a little bit, the way that some children that might not be familiar with dogs would. But our volunteers are welcome to bring their kids out and participate and let them give back to the community. Let them learn what community service is all about. I think that's really important.
Let's see here. Kimberly Forbes says, I love my Green Dogs Unleashed fur babies. Erika is the absolute best.
Aw.
Hank and Casey say hello.
All right.
Kat Schorenberg Bernard from Keswick says Erika is truly amazing and uses the green heart emoji.
No.
I liked how you picked
nice.
the green heart emoji, Kat. I got to ask her this question, and this is a tough one for you, but I got to ask it anyway. It's like, most challenging aspect of the job, or a particular case that was more challenging than others, perhaps was not successful, because, I think we deal with that every day.
We do.
And it's how we respond to those that determine our character.
Yeah.
And you clearly have one of a pristine character here. Talk to us about challenges.
I think some of the biggest challenges in rescue is the human aspect of the rescue world. There's a lot of different, very strong personalities. I like to use a concept of people, lifting their leg and peeing on their own space.
That's a good graphic.
Sometimes it can be hard to work with other people that also are very strong personalities. But I think some of the biggest challenges that we work with are a lot of the medical cases, and we can't win them all. I think sometimes, beyond medical, sometimes there's behavioral issues that I want to be able to fix because that's what I do, and I like to fix things. And you can't fix all of them. There are dogs that come to you that are so broken that there's no training in the world that's going to fix what is going on. And I think sometimes having to make the hard decisions for me, I call them the merciful decisions. Sometimes I feel like the angel of death. In other words, sometimes I have to make that decision to mercifully say goodbye to an animal that I don't want to. And I think that's probably the hardest thing for me.
Totally. Jump in here, Pattie.
Wow. That's a hard...
Because you have to deal with that sometimes, too. You have a lot of animals coming to you that...
But it's... and I was always told that animals don't think of it that way. I mean, to an animal, they don't think of passing on that way. They think of it more as like, let's just put on a sweater and be something else and come back another time in another lifetime and let's try again. I was always told by animal communicators that I've read books about and spoken with, and they're very definitive about how the way animals perceive things. It's almost like a Buddhist frame of mind, if you will, where just you get different lifetimes to achieve different things in your life. And if it doesn't work out the first time, okay, you have blessings and you come back and let's try something else in the next life. That's the way I've always heard it interpreted.
Let's sizzle reel that, Harris, and jump in, because I know you got something here to say here. And where
I can feel it.
This is where I'd like to go. Is I recently, and this is tough, 3 animals myself. Recently had to put down my almost 17-year-old. Been with me a long time, different phases of life, 17 years. And selfishly, I wanted her to go on her own. I did not want to have to make the decision of putting her in the vehicle and driving her to the vet and putting her down. And that was strictly a selfish thing for me. I've known for, a year and change that her quality of life was terrible, constantly having seizures. Was unable to control her, bowels, which makes it tough when you have a child and a baby in the house.
Right.
And ended up making the decision, and it was brutal. So where I'm going with this is, and maybe there is no right answer to this, the perspective you offer to the folks that are in that situation.
So I get this question a lot because as a behavior specialist, people come to me and say, well, how do I know? How do I know when is right? And one of my best friends, Ashley Rethemeyer, is a vet at Fort Union Animal Hospital in Fluvanna. And she told me that she believed that the right time was when the dog itself would tell you that this is not how they would have wanted to live as their former healthy self. Mm-hmm. And I had a hard time with it because in 1 year we lost both of our senior dogs, and I went through this whole, well, how do I know? And it never gets any easier. But my perspective is, I would rather do it 2 weeks early than 30 minutes too late. And so when my dogs got to the point where they were having accidents or they were falling a lot, I knew, at least with my pity mix, I knew that he would have been so ashamed of himself.
I could tell she was so embarrassed. Like, she would have these accidents, and she would give me this look like, I can't believe I just did this to your house, Dad.
And that was the decision for me. It was, I knew that he would have been so ashamed when he was in his prime if that had happened, and I made the decision then that it was time. I think it's different with every animal. One of my Danes, I think, would have been perfectly fine in his former life, just if he, peed in the house, oh well, big deal. And, it got to the point where he was just frail. And how do you make that decision when there's not something pressing? There's not cancer. He's not dying of something. He's just old.
Body's breaking down.
And his body was breaking down. And I was fortunate that Dr. Rethenmeyer came to my home and helped us say goodbye peacefully at home, so there was no stress, but which I would recommend to anybody in the position to be able to do that.
Right, and it's a real honor to be able to have that kind of mutual respect between animals and human, or human and human, whatever the relationship may be. It's an honor to have that much respect and be able to help when help is needed.
But I think that in just posing the question, I think it's one of the mercies that we offer our animals that we don't offer human beings, is to not have to suffer. We can take that pain and we can, help you drift away to better places. People don't have that afforded to them. A lot of the people we visit end up in hospice facilities and
life support.
They're in pain,
right?
And they're that's a whole other discussion.
Sure, of course.
But I think it's a big blessing that we can give to our animals to not have them suffer.
How about your perspective with Ernie?
Wow. Well, ooh boy. So that's a long one. I mean, he taught so many life lessons, not just with the store, but just with a lot of interpersonal relationship. He was a real healer for the store. I mean, there are so many people that came to see this dog that would sit there with him and just unload their heart and soul to him while other things were happening. I mean, he was, that was his job. He took it very seriously. He knew exactly what he was doing, and just to be able to allow him to do that, but not to take on the energy that goes with it. That's the hard part, is because the animals want to take it on for you. They would take on anything for you, but to say, look, you can't take this part. You can accept it, you can be here, but you can't take it, because they will.
Interestingly, and I'm going to throw this to you, interestingly, from my experience, and that was the first one for me, which made it extra hard. Right. But the German Shepherds that I had, the boys, were keeping Lucy alive. Lucy would oftentimes be like in a little ball, and if there weren't the other animals coming there to like mess with her or like poke her or get her up and get her moving or like licking her face, she would have been like, much more arthritic and much more like, I think her quality of life would have been even worse. They were like, they almost instinctually knew that we have to help her get up and move around.
Nice. There you go.
They do.
Good guys.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I don't know why I'm bringing this up. Maybe it's almost in some ways like therapeutic for me.
Yeah.
But I mean, you get, you are seen as like an expert and like a go-to person. And I think, is there even like a right answer? I mean, like, how do you like even, just an icky topic.
You just know.
I think that, well, I don't know. Sometimes I think you don't just know.
Yeah.
I think sometimes you need to sit down and work it out and say, okay, here are the good things in your life, and here are the negative things in your life, and are the good days outweighing the bad days? Because if they're not, is that fair? Is it my own selfishness? Is it my desire to be with you that's keeping me from saying goodbye, from helping you to make that journey? And I think sometimes it is. I think sometimes we are some selfish people, and we love our animals
I just didn't want to make
so
the
much.
decision.
No, I totally understand.
Yeah.
And had I not had Ashley there with my first one, I don't know what I would have done, because he was declining, and she really helped me work through that. it's hard. It's hard with your other pets, because I know when we lost Truman, which was my first Great Dane that we lost 6 years ago, my other dogs mourned for months and months. Serendipity, my deaf and blind Dane, she wouldn't even come in the house. We had to pick her up and carry her in, because she would go lay under the tree where we said our final goodbyes to him. And she wouldn't, I mean, she just knew. I think that was the last place that she smelled him. And that was where she was going to stay. And we ended up saying goodbye to her under that same tree a year ago. But they mourn, and people don't understand. Well, can I get another puppy and then they'll be okay? And I think that they need time too. So just like people do, I think that they know. I think they know that they've lost their family member.
Joyce McCullough says, "Hey, Erika."
Hey, Joyce has my baby.
Yeah,
she's got the baby right now.
She says, "Hey, Erika." How about the facility? Talk to us about the facility. What's going on in Troy? Spotlight your infrastructure.
Yeah, so out in Troy, we have our training facility where we teach our classes. We're a network of foster homes, so we don't have a shelter per se. Dogs do come and stay with me at my house, in my house, get my house nice and muddy the last couple of weeks. But our training facility is out there. We have 5.5 acres fully fenced in. We've got an agility field and our bark park for free play. We do some play therapy, so some of our fosters and former adopted dogs can come and learn how to properly socialize. It's amazing how dogs don't know how to socialize in today's society. Wow. I think we keep them locked up in apartments, and we keep them away from everybody. And I think that people get so worried that we don't allow them, the social time that they normally would have. And I think that they've lost a lot of their instincts on socialization. So we teach them that. We teach them proper play cues. We teach them how to be around other dogs in play therapy. But we teach basic obedience and tricks and games and therapy dog classes, and it's just wonderful.
You were telling me some incredible number earlier. It was like 600 and something.
Yeah, we
Right now?
This
year?
Yeah, I think last year.
Yeah.
I think we average around 600 animals a year that we help.
That's a big number for an independent
dogs and cats.
An independent group like this.
Right, in Troy, Virginia. It's startling.
That is a huge number of animals.
We have a question on the chat, and thank you, Jojo Robertson, for asking. I follow Green Dogs on Leash. How is Mr. Magoo? We have not heard about him lately. I'm curious about Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo is this wonderful blind Chihuahua that we got from Texas, and his owner was a homeless gentleman, and so Mr. Magoo was trained to stand up and dance for money on the side of the road. And his owner unfortunately went missing and passed away. He ended up at a shelter. The shelter reached out to us. We brought him here from Texas. And he is doing fantastic. He went to actually a children's book author up in Maryland, and I do believe that we'll be hearing more about Mr. Magoo, because I think she has a new book coming out about him.
Book about him?
About him,
That's
yeah.
Mr. Magoo.
Yeah, about Mr. Magoo.
Mr. Magoo. We got someone else, Donna Patton. We have an amazing yard sale fundraiser coming up in April.
Yes.
Everyone should come support us and Green Dogs on Leash.
Thanks,
Tell us
Donna.
about that.
We do a yearly fundraiser and vendor event. So we accept for anyone that wants to be a vendor out at the event. It's at our facility in Troy. We are accepting yard sale donations of previously loved items that are in decent condition. And then we put on this big event. We have a food vendor coming. It's April 27th and 28th. And we want everyone to come out and shop.
I love it.
They do great events. I mean, your other big event is towards Christmas.
It's Santa Paws.
Santa
We
Paws.
do a big Santa Paws.
Yeah.
It is at Castle Hill Cidery.
Great
And we love them, and we love this event. And Santa comes, and people can bring their dogs and their kids and their chickens and their pet goat. And one year we had a turkey come out.
Hey, and you had
take
hundreds of people
pictures.
come to this
We
event.
average around 500 people at that
Wow.
event.
Shopping.
Yeah, you
Yep.
should come out.
I got to
should
give
come
you
out.
some props. Walked into an ad agency here, so I understand the power of social media. Your social media is off the chain. I mean, you guys have got the goods. Talk to us about that.
I think that we just have really awesome supporters and volunteers and people that have the passion that we do, and it just gets around.
It's really
when is it ever?
amazing. It's truly amazing.
Yeah.
We'll thank some of the folks that are watching. We'll give everyone, we're 40 minutes in. 40 minutes felt like 4 minutes here.
It does.
On what's Barking Local. I want to give each of you, after we thank the folks who are watching, a chance to maybe like a final word, or you can go in any direction you want. We will start with the guest, then close with the star over here, Pattie Boden. First, let's thank some fabulous people here. Victoria Torgerson. Victoria Trainham, JB Moore, Jen Sanger, Karen Sowers, Donna Patton, Renee Herrera, Liz Schmidt, Kristen Larson-Hill, Owen Zanzil, Walter Trainham, Tim Ryan,
It's so
Chris
awesome because
Turner,
these are rescue people.
Laura
Thanks,
Linsky.
guys.
If you guys can like and share the stream, whatever channel you're watching on, like and share the stream. That's all we ask. And why don't we give her an opportunity here, Harris, to create a sizzle reel, and then I also want to close with what you learned about today, Harris, on the show. Harris Tolber, our director. So, Erika, the show is yours.
Well, I think just listening to you read that off, it's so amazing. Pattie does such a good job getting the community, the rescue community together. But those people, those names you're reading off, there's all kinds of other animal rescues that we partner with. And it just, I think that it's just such an amazing community when all the different rescues can work together for, common good. And there's so much good that we can do. Great Dane Rescue of the Commonwealth is on there. They're just phenomenal. They call us...
Caring for Creatures is
Caring for
interacting here.
Creatures
Mary Burkholz is interacting.
Right. It's just amazing.
It is amazing. It is amazing. Victoria Trainham says, we love our second bully we got from Green Dogs Unleashed, and then does the heart-eyed emoji.
That's Belle,
Nice.
a little deaf English bulldog.
You guys are amazing. Pattie Boden, final word for you. What do you think?
Wow. Well, I'm just glad that we can bring in groups like Erika's and the Green Dogs, and just provide an opportunity for people to just know what the heck's going on around this town. I mean, it's more than just the dogs that are walking back and forth on the downtown mall every day. There is just so much more, and I'm just thrilled we can do the unsung heroes, or maybe sing about the heroes just a little bit more, and bring a little bit wider vision and a bigger net to the dogs and cats of the world here.
Let's sizzle reel that. And Harris, we're going to get you in the mix here shortly. It reminds me of kind of what we're trying to do with Charlottesville. We're trying to celebrate the positivity and the best of Charlottesville with I Love CVille. Pattie Boden, very much similar with Animal Connection. She's celebrating the positivity and the best of the animal world in Charlottesville and Central Virginia. So social entrepreneurs with a positive mission.
Positive vision.
I love it. I love it. Harris Tolber, the director, we always ask him at the end of every show what he learned from the show.
What did you learn today, Harris?
So, Harris, what did you learn, my friend?
Hey, Jerry. So, as usual, I learn a lot. And, as I know that these women don't like to put the spotlight on themselves because they're so humble. But, every time, Erika or Pattie or Mary comes on the show, I'm just more and more blown away by the amazing work they've done, and particularly I loved when Pattie was talking about the animal mindset in regards to the afterlife and like kind of that you're saying is like almost like a meditative, like Buddhist kind of mindset. That I enjoyed that, and also when you all were talking about the remorse that dogs can feel when one of their companions passes away. It's just so human-like, I mean, I know that I've seen documentaries of, elephants will have, a procession type of, almost like a funeral type of thing. That's incredibly interesting to me. And, in regards to my own dog, I think the beauty of an animal connection between an animal and a human is the journey that you go on. I know Jerry was talking about that with his own dog, and Pattie, you were talking about that as well. And it reminds me of my dog Hannah. She was a golden retriever. I mentioned her on Mary's program as well. But I remember how my dad felt when she passed away. I mean, my dad was never like overly affectionate, like physically toward her. Like, I mean, he loved her as a dog, but I think that he felt so sad when she passed because we got her when my brother and I were 6 years old, and I think that he felt that she truly had like a hand in raising us. You know what I mean? She was almost like a parent to me. So I think he was so grateful to her for that. I think that was why he was so, I mean, he was probably the most I'd seen him like emotional, you know? So, I mean, it's amazing that connection. But anyway, back to you, Jerry.
Well said. Person perspective.
Yeah.
Here's Tolbert. Well said. Pattie, episode 2 now in the books of What's Barking Local. I think the best one yet. I really,
it's gonna get better.
It's gonna get better, and we're grateful for you.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you for coming on. Pattie Boden's doing. I am Jerry Miller. She's Pattie Boden. She is Erika Proctor. We encourage you to check out Green Dogs Unleashed on social media or on their website. Get involved with the organization. If you would like to learn more about anything animal related, you can certainly do that at Animal Connection.
Right. We have information about the yard sale and
everything.
the upcoming events and What's Barking Local.
You're the epicenter of animal in the community. So that is a wrap for episode 2. We're grateful for your time. We're truly grateful for you joining us on the show. We close the same way with any program we do, folks. Please give more than you take, and please embody the golden rule. And it'll make Charlottesville and Central Virginia a better place for all of us.
Yeah.
We will see you tomorrow at 12:30 for the I Love CVille show. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
All right. There we go.
Good work. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. So this is what you
That
can
didn't
expect.
hurt a bit.
Yeah.
What'd you say?
That didn't hurt a bit.